This week has been extraordinary. This week, I have been swamped by emails, phone calls, letters, and visits by farmers who are extremely upset about Bill 6. Right now, my phone on my desk is buzzing with angry emails and Facebook messages from farmers who are angry that they have not been consulted about a bill that affects their way of life. The majority of these concerns are about the way the government has gone about imposing Bill 6 rather than the nitty-gritty of the contents of it. Hundreds of my constituents are astounded that a new government elected on a platform of transparency would impose changes that affect their lives and livelihoods without speaking to them first. Sure, the NDP government belatedly decided to hold a few token meetings in a small select number of towns across the province. The majority of these meetings have been scheduled for after the NDP had planned on passing this bill.
Unacceptable.
I have a feeling that they're not going to meet that deadline anymore. These are not town halls, these are town tells. These are not consultative sessions, these are sessions where they tell farmers and ranchers how to comply with the bill and not find out what farmers and ranchers want in the bill. Let me quote the dictionary on the definition of consultation for the members on the government side. Quote, a meeting with an expert or professional, such as a medical doctor, in order to seek advice. Earth-shattering stuff, Madam Speaker. How could one put advice to use if the bill has already been rammed through the House and passed into law before we solicit the advice? Our jobs as MLAs is to be the representative of our constituents to the government, not representatives of the government to constituents. Now, I wonder what the constituents of the 11 ridings represented by NDP MLAs who are rural or partially rural think right now. Do their constituents really believe that their MLAs are representing their views to the NDP government? Or do they think that those MLAs are representing the NDP's views to their constituencies?
Good question.
We are not voting machines. We are representatives of the people. There were over 200 people protesting Bill 6 on the steps of this legislature last Friday. There were between 1,500 and 1,800 people protesting on the steps of the legislature on Monday. How many are going to have to be here later this week before the government will listen? How many people will it take before the government realizes that they are not doing what is right for farmers and ranchers? My office has been swamped by farmers and ranchers in my constituency who want to discuss Bill 6 because I'm their representative. Unfortunately, the government held no consultations whatsoever in Strathmore Brooks.
Shame.
Nothing. In one of the most agriculture-intensive constituencies in Canada, not a single government consultation with my farmers and ranchers.
Shocking.
So you know what I did, Madam Speaker? I did what every member of the NDP caucus representing rural constituencies should have done. I called my own town hall meeting. I booked the Bazzano Elks Lodge for 2 o'clock this coming Sunday. I found out very quickly that we are not going to have enough space in the Elks Lodge. I've had constituents who have gone out with their own money and bought local radio advertisements in Brooks, informing people about the town hall out of their own pockets. A constituent of mine went out to put up some posters around the county telling people about the town hall. You know what that constituent found? That constituent, going up, put up her printed posters, found that random constituents, unprompted by me or my office, had gone up and put up their own posters, telling them to come on out to our town hall because that was their only chance to tell the government what they thought of Bill 6. Rural Albertans are waking up to this, and they're not happy with what they found. The Bazzano Elks Lodge turnout is likely to be too small for what we had. So we've had to scramble to find a larger venue. And we've now had to move it to the Bazzano School Gymnasium. There, this Saturday, I've invited farmers and ranchers in my constituency and adjacent communities who have not been consulted to tell me what they think we should be doing about Bill 6. Has a single member of the government side of the legislature done so as well?
No.
Has a single member of the government side of this House, representing rural or semi-rural constituencies, held an open forum in their constituencies for farmers and ranchers to come and tell them what should be done about Bill 6?
Nope.
The silence is deafening. This is what we do in a democracy. We listen to those we represent in our constituency, and we represent their interests to the government, not the other way around. Is it not the purpose of this House to listen to the people and be their representatives? Or did that notion, once held by the NDP in opposition, change once they won power? How many signatures on petitions asking this government to stop Bill 6 will it take for them to listen? Will it take half the farmers in Alberta to sign a petition? Will it take every single farmer to sign a petition before they'll listen? How many thousands need to stand outside these doors before we'll do what they need us to do? Judging from what I've heard from my constituents so far, and I've heard a lot, the reaction has been almost unanimous. Let's look at two historical examples in Alberta of what happens when the government ignores or disrespects farmers and ranchers. In 2008, the Premier of the day pushed through a series of laws that violated the fundamental property rights of landowners in this province. That set in motion a long chain of events that led to the ouster of that Premier and the creation of the Wild Rose. But looking further back, Alberta's first Liberal government, and I might add last Liberal government, thought that they knew better than farmers and ranchers and governed like they didn't matter. In short order, farmers organized into the United Farmers of Alberta and swept that old government from office. Governments worthy of this province must respect both urban and rural Alberta.
Agreed.
No government worthy of its office should treat one or the other as second-class citizens.
Agreed.
This government did get one thing right. Every single farmer wants to have a safe farm that their children can live and prosper on. Every single mother and father wants to ensure that their child is as safe as they can possibly be on the family farm.
Agreed.
After years of no mandatory WCB or OH&S officials on the farm, Alberta still has the lowest fatality rate per capita in Canada.
Excellent.
Now, one fatality is one too high.
Agreed.
But this is not a record that should be overlooked. This is because Alberta farmers do care about safety, and they take it more seriously than any government bureaucrat possibly can.
Agreed.
The workers on farms are the sons, the daughters, aunts, uncles, grandmas, grandpas, moms, and dads of rural Alberta. These people care more about each other than any OH&S bureaucrat ever will. These people will do anything possible to ensure that every single member of their family comes back from work safe and secure every single night. They've been doing it for generations. In fact, the government should know this. There have been numerous studies done on this topic by the government. And you know what they said?
What did they say?
They said that OH&S is not necessarily needed to be legislated. They said that more education would be beneficial for the agricultural industry, but imposed legislative changes to their way of life are not recommended.
Agreed.
This government does not even listen to their own research, nor are they listening to the Albertans who stood outside those doors protesting just the other day. What will it take for this government to listen? We can all agree here, every member of this House, that safety is a priority. The way this bill is being rammed through this House, however, is not ensuring safety. We must consult with the experts, the farmers, the ranchers, the people who live and breathe agriculture to ensure that we're getting this legislation right the first time. This cannot be done by legislating first and consulting later. By forcing this bill through the House without proper consultation, this government is doing a disservice to all Albertans, urban and rural. If my point has not yet been made, I'll make it now. Bill 6 should not be rammed through this House at midnight without any due consideration from the people it affects. This bill, like several others that we have seen in this session, should be sent to a committee for review and consultation. By sending it to committee, we can ensure that everyone who wants and needs to be consulted is consulted. Unfortunately, the only farmers who will participate in this debate in the legislature are the farmers on this side of the House, because there are none over there.
Like Schneider.
By sending this to committee, we can ensure that this bill is what Albertans want, not what the union organizers and the NDP want. The NDP have insisted on sending opposition bills, private members' bills, to committees for study.
That's true.
Bills that, while important, do not fundamentally alter the character of half the province.
Agreed.
If those bills proposed by us and that have already had significant consultation done before they were introduced should be going to further consultation at committees, then surely an omnibus piece of legislation that will have significant consequences for everyone in rural Alberta should also go to committee to ask rural Albertans what they think. On December 5th, I will be in Bazzano to listen to rural Albertans, to listen to my constituents. The NDP might be waking up to it now, but they have lit a prairie fire in Alberta that they cannot undo. I urge all members of this House, and especially those members on the government side representing rural constituencies, to do what they know is right, to listen to their constituents and kill Bill 6.